Let's go, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. As always, I am your host, Todd, and I forgot to turn my lights on. Here, as always, with my co-host, Derek Kwan.
What's up, everyone?
It is August 12th, 2025, and this is episode 93. Woo, it has been quite a week. Probably stuff happened in poker, but I've been pretty busy. We'll get into that in a minute. This weekend, as far as LA Poker is concerned, we wrapped up the Park West Classic, and man, we were this close to having some history made. We almost, man, if Mark, when you're watching this, you were this close to losing your title. I'm telling you. We're going to have to make up a new nickname for you, potentially. All right, let's dive right in, shall we? So, action this week has been at the bike. Lots and lots and lots of things going on, lots of events. We'll start with the daily events that were going on last Tuesday while we were doing this very show. There was event 17, the $250 Mega Stack, that had 72 entries on a Tuesday and ended in a heads-up chop between Eden Mikhaili and Nathi Tanakel, who took home about $2,800 and $4,500 for the two of those guys, and with Nathi Tanakel getting the first place. Congratulations. The rest of that final table was Charles Shaverdians, Luis Perez in 5th place, Thun Nguyen, 6th place, William Ensone, 7th, Walter Preston Smiley, 8th, Frank Lay, and 9th, Steve Torok. So congrats to everyone who made that final table. Looks like we got a little yellow stitch head going on there and a bottle of something. That's interesting.
You know what? I'm a big fan of these chip stacks. I'm not of this chip set. I'm not a fan of it on the early levels. Right. Like the early chips are very confusing, but those late chips look fantastic.
Yeah, the yellows I think are okay. There is a later chip that until they color away the thousands is extremely confusing. I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm trying to remember what it is, but there's one of them. They're like the exact reversed colors. You put them in a stack together. Not fun. All right. Event 18, the limit 8 Omaha or 8 or better stud. 34 players and ended with Lori Broda defeating Jack Pan to take home $5,200. Second win in less than a week. She also won event 15 Heroes, so she's on a little mixed game heater. Congratulations to Loris. Or is it Lori? Oh, that might be a typo, Frank. You wrote Lori up top and Loris down below. Also in this top, looks like now all of our who's of LA mixed gamers are coming in and cashing. We got Craig Chait in 3rd, Mr. Sean SFYU in 4th, Gabriel Garcia in 5th, and Kwok Lee in 6th for the bubble. Looks like there's a double bubble, so Kwok and Mesrop both got bubble paid.
Nice work.
Yeah, and let's see, moving on. Another familiar face. Sporting the beer, the Hustler Casino shirt. He's got an image to maintain. Mr. Sammy Beishhead taking down number 19, the Legends of Poker, $560 bounty. There were 28 entries in this thing on a Wednesday, and Sammy got, was it a chop? Was not a chop. He took home first place. It looks like he took home $3,580, which included 4 bounties. And the beer is not his trophy. Frank would like you to know that was just part of the fun. So this is his first time back to the bike since April when he won the 10K win in the Survivor. Okay, so Sammy, as you all know, was dealer Hustler Casino Live. He's back from France. He's dealing there again, I believe, and I believe he's living in Vegas for the most part. So we only see him for the larger events. He's clearly in town for the Classic, as you'll see soon, and probably Mega Millions. So welcome back, Sammy. Have a drink for me.
I think Sammy might have actually moved back to California, but
California. Okay, I thought he was in Vegas last I saw.
Yeah.
All right. Rest of the cashers for this event was Greg Garabedian. 3rd place was Willie Benton. 4th place was Christopher Carr. All right. Event 20 was the $360 deep stack. This was a 20K guarantee with 57 entries, which there was an overlay of 3,000, which is not insignificant. That's like 10 people. So they're really hoping to get around 70 players, I guess. So this ended in a 4-way chop. You know, when there's overlay, I highly am in favor of chops because when there's overlay, everyone should just take some of that money. That's you know, if you're ever gonna chop, it should be when there's a ton of overlay in my mind. Anyways, 4-way chop between Yaron Yashar, Zavin, Armaganian. All right, it's not as bad as it looks. Armaganian,
Very good.
Eric Trutzen, and Jason Jung. So congrats to those choppers. It looks like Yaren and Zaven had pretty much identical chip stacks, and it looks like Yaren got the trophy since he was listed up top. So, yeah, Yaron was the one who got the trophy. So congrats. In fifth place, before they did the deal, was Andres Garcia, who has returned to play a little bit of poker. Apparently, he moved to Hawaii. I didn't even know. I thought he was just on vacation, but apparently he moved. So a lot of folks making their returns, getting deep in these events. Sixth place, Emily Spencer. Seventh place, Nam Kim. Eighth place, Arnaldo Filho. And also eighth, so these are bubbles, Jameson Smith. So congrats to everyone in that event. Ooh. Lots of events still going on. Here we go. Mixed game event number. What event is this? Earlier in. This is not 77. Okay. Mixed game event was Heroes again. Third time they ran Heroes in this series. 45 entries this time, and it was a total prize pool of just shy of 19 grand. Not bad. So we have here. Oh, look. Jack Pan, he was the one I believe got second in the last mixed game, one of the mixed games that I just read. He took home the win, and in second place, unlikely name, Mr. Mark Fiorentino, who I believe this was his first mixed game tournament. He said or something close to it. He got second place. Oh no, there it is. It's his first mixed game final table according to Frank. I thought it was his first mixed game tournament, maybe not. But he
definitely doesn't play a lot.
Yeah. So cool. Kudos for him on branching out. I wonder if he's trying to hone his games to get in the bracelet hunt in the summers. Mark takes home 4,400. Jack took home a little over 7,000. The rest of this final table here is Jared Rubin, Sean Creamer, Hrar Danielian, and Peter Brownstein. Congrats to all the heroes.
I like this. Looks like he just came off of a fishing or a hunting
right.
trip.
For sure, he's definitely he's out getting fish, man.
I want to buy some of those clothes. It looks really cool.
But he's not like he's not like he's not fishing for dinner. He's got the Oracle hat on, so he's like that retired tech money, and he's just fishing for fun, that kind of thing.
Yeah, except it's on a yacht.
He's got Oracle on his head. He's out here because he wants to fish, because it's relaxing from Silicon Valley, right? It's not.
Yeah.
All right. We then had event 22, the $400 super bounty, where you get $800 bounties after you get in the money. And this was a very interesting one. So there are 46 entries, which means that in order to get into the money, you had to make the final table and get to the final 7 players. So when that happened, that's when the bounties kicked in. And I don't know if you've played many quick events around LA. Oh, wait, you have, Mr. 9-Way Chopper first. But when you hit a final table in a small event and a turbo, people want to chop. So in this event, super bounty event, when they got to the money, all 7 players immediately chopped, took their super bounties back. So nobody actually won a bounty. Everyone just got their 800 back, tacked onto their prize pool. And the chip leader, when they did that chop, was Farzan Mobarez, and he took home just under 2K, gets the trophy for that. Man, you get the trophy for these 40-person event. I should just go in and play one. You think maybe I can get maybe I can get Emily, despite all that's going on, to let me go in and play like a 40-person event just to win a trophy. I mean, what could this take? 5 hours? Come on.
Take that trophy down.
So congratulations, Farzan Mobarez. Second, Moshe Levy. Third, Michael Titi. Fourth, Rosen Angelov. Fifth, Hamid Koram. Sixth, Willie Benton. And seventh, Armin Chefetchian.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I know Armin. I never say his last name.
I think
I got close. I'm sticking to it.
Tyfekchian.
Yeah, that's a close. I think I got close. All right. Whew. I think this is the last one day that we're going to be covering on this episode. Mixed games continuing with event 24, the limit triple draw. Oh, this is our best mixed game, Derek. We missed him. 28 entries. See, we had a shot at a trophy here. Easy shot. Just if 2 banners can get to the final table and get second, we can do it in 28 people. So this set it up in a 3-way chop among Jai Valarupali, Gary Dushman, and David Snowball, who took home the win and about a little over $4,000. So way to go, all of you. And also making the money before that 3-way chop was Michael Casella, who already won 2 events in the series. I'm not gonna lie. If you're a mixed game player playing these 40 sub things and you play them all, you might get sick of the trophies. I mean, it says here, Michael already won 2 events in the series, and so these other guys, like, if you win like 3 of these things every series and they do 4 of these series a year, you might get sick of them. I don't know. Like,
I think it would be pretty fun to have like 20 light up things in the background here. That would be kind of
I
fun.
mean, it could be fun, but it could also just look like you're running the mall kiosk. If you're gonna do that, you need a plan for every picture. You know, if you had 20 in a row and they told a story, you did a little, you made some faces, did some extra. That could be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. All right. So that's it for the 1 days. After that, we have the Park West Classic. Park West Classic was 3 starting days, 5 starting flights, all sorts of characters, all the usual suspects showing up. Let's jump on to the results, though. So for this Park West Classic, we had a total number of entries being... okay, they didn't say the total number of entries here. Let's see if Frank has it. Prize pool was 625,240. Total entries are 638 over those 5 days. And I thought that the turnout was pretty decent, actually. The afternoon flights, the Thursday flight had over, I think it had like 115 people or something. That's pretty good for a Thursday flight. And the other flights were, they kept up the momentum. So I would say this is pretty successful. And however, if you remember, this is the one that had that 8K double bag bonus. So we did have those 8 double qualifiers and a triple qualifier. Nader Arfai took home 3 bags, which means he was 16,000 out of the prize pool right off the bat, which is not insignificant at all. Not insignificant at all. Did Frank post the prize pool? I see the winner photo here. Okay, I'm not sure if he posted the prize pool or not, but let's just say 16,000 was 7th place money. So Nader got 7th place cash out of it. Now, he had to enter at least 3 times to get those 3 bags, but that's still saying 8th place profit. So that's a lot just for playing day ones. That's a lot. But all right, so I've already spoiled it. I brought it up to see the prize pool, to see the numbers. Congratulations to John Masirian. Big reg, big, we see him at every event. Big grinder, big blaster. Love to see it. And look at that, number 2, Sammy Beishahead. We just saw him. I don't know. Maybe he should have kept the beer around. Maybe it would have helped. Beers always help give you an extra percentage in flips. I think it's proven fact. But he got 2nd place. And Jonah Lopez, who he won one of the large 1Ks at the Gardens. I think it was last year. Was it 2 years ago? I think it was last year. So we got him in the tournament, or hooks in him for the tournament bug now. 4th place was Charles Brunier. 5th, Yoon Ho Choi. 6th, Stuart Pfeffer. 7th, Mac Walker. 8th, Mark Robinson. And 9th, Jung Lee. So this was quite a final table. Tons of local blasters, tons of regs. These are names that are going to definitely be competing in our Player of the Year once these results post up to Hendon. We'll get that started and see how people are shaping up. A lot of blasters in the field. There are far too many for me to read on this breath, but Frank does a great job posting them up, showing where people finished. Notable finishes: Derek Kwan, 17th place, came in as the number 2 in chips on this day. So way to go. Lots of people making deep runs in this thing. Lots of people day 2ing. Awesome. We will talk about your day in a second. Oh, I have one more result, actually. So on that day 2 day, there was another event. It was the 100K guarantee, $360 super stack, which drew a massive crowd. People have been absolutely dying to get a decent 1 day because of all of the multi-days happening. Not a lot of big weekend guarantees happening, it looked like, so they were coming out in droves. They doubled this guarantee to 203,700. Fantastic. And when they got to that final table, it was a 9-way chop. So 9-way chop here, which means for those counting for our Player of the Year, all of these 9 people will get 9th place Player of the Year points for this event. But it's a big pot for 1 day. So congratulations to Luis Buezo for taking home 1st place in that chop. He got just over 20,000 and the trophy. 2nd place, Alexander Otasevic. 3rd place, Samuel Gispoyan. 4th place, John Divecha. 5th place, Kevin Babian. 6th place, Melbert Tato. 7th place, Dean Myers. 8th place, Yoon Yi. And 9th place, Jackie Lee. So congratulations to that final table and that 9-way chop. And I'm glad I made that change.
This tournament was crazy, and we were down to like 3 or 4 tables in the corner of the room. Like the entire room had been filling. It was almost like I don't know, some sort of like horror movie where there was some sort of like blob just like overtaking. It was just like crazy. I remember going out on like the first break, and there was like a humongous line, and I was like shocked because that's usually like a Saturday line,
Oh yeah, you mean as the
But
classic
yeah,
ended, right? As the classic was
yeah,
was
yeah,
getting smaller and
yeah.
smaller.
This is the day two. Yeah, so it was yeah, it was pretty nuts.
Yep. Very cool. So good to see the interest, the effort. Good to see all the folks coming out. So um, let's jump in with my big story of the week. As you may have noticed, I did not cash the Park West Classic. Disappointing. That's the first 3 multi-day events. I only got to cash the second one, but this one has not a whole lot to do with poker itself. So big exciting week for me. This has never happened. I'm not sure if this will ever happen again. I was sitting there at the end of Reg when the floor was calling out, if you want to surrender your stack, let us know. Everyone, if you're going to surrender your stack, tell us now. And I stood up and I said, I've got to surrender my stack. I am leaving. I got a funny look from Andy, and I said, no, I'm serious. I'm leaving. And I'm leaving because my wife was in labor. As you know, listeners of the pod, I've been expecting a baby. Baby was due this Thursday. So everybody who we talked to, all the other parents, they're like, oh, first baby, probably coming late. It's probably going to come like 5 days late, 4 days late. Yeah, first baby. They never come on time. Well, my little boy, we've named him Locke. So Locke came a week early. He was a lock. That's it. he had his day figured out and picked, and it was that day. So it's kind of it's an interesting story. It's an interesting story. So I'm sitting there playing. Not due for another week. I thought this was gonna be my last week of poker. So I'm over there. I'm playing, and I'm getting some messages around level 2 or so from Emily. Now I've been doing pretty well. My table's great. I've gotten like up to like 70K from 40K, and in the first couple levels, my table was fantastic. It was super fun. I'm winning like 80% of the pots, not huge pots, but just like winning them all. And then we get a couple other jokers at the table. I think like Rudy shows up, Fausto shows up, James shows up. We got a couple other regs suddenly there by the end of reg, but throughout like level 3, level 4, level 5, I'm getting messages from my wife. She's like, hey. I'd say around level 4, she sends one just like, I don't know. I don't think these are contractions, but like I've been feeling like really tight a couple times this morning. I'm like a couple times when, like is it reliable, or is it like once and then like an hour later and then like there's a couple in a row and then just stopped for a while? It's like, yeah, and they're kind of reliable. I haven't really been timing them. So I'm like, well, let me know. Tell me how often, right? So then it's like level 6, level 7. She's like, I timed the last one. They're like 3.5 minutes apart. I'm like, 3.5 minutes. So for those of you who haven't had to care about this stuff before, we've been told you're supposed to go to the hospital when they're 5 minutes apart, and they've been lasting for about an hour. And she's been saying she thinks, she's like, but I don't think, it's early. I don't think we can be having the baby now. These can't be contractions. But it's kind of this thing, whatever it is, been going on. It's like, it's 3.5 minutes. I'm like, well, how is that? That's the last one you time. Do one more. And she just did it. Like, yeah, this was like 3.5 minutes. I don't know. But, it's probably not it. Whatever. I'm like, I know you. You just don't want it to be today. I'm leaving now. She's like, no, it's fine. You're just keep playing. No, I got to come home. So that was like with like 20 minutes left to go. And I'm just like trying to figure it out. And I'm trying to text Jeff because funnily enough, Jeff wasn't there working that day because it was actually his anniversary. It was actually, I believe, his 1-year anniversary, wedding anniversary. So he wasn't there working. So this part was a little unfortunate for me in that so that meant the floor working there was that Mark guy. And Larry wasn't there either. He was doing something else. So really, a lot of the more kind of senior folks who run the event weren't there. And the reason that's important, right, is because this, as we've all seen lots of stories about this. I think there's a story about people blinding out of the main event. I think there's a story about was it Foxen or no? Was it maybe it was I almost want to say it was Kuhn who got a refund from like a super high roller because he had a baby coming and he had to abandon his day. So I was sitting there with over starting stack, had about a half hour, I had about a level left or about 10 minutes left, 15 something. And I'm sitting there with like 50K and I'm like, hey, Jeff, this is really odd. I need to leave, but I have more than a starting stack and registration's still open. is there any way I can like get a refund or get some kind of credit? And just because I gotta leave, I'm leaving no matter what. And unfortunately, he couldn't respond to me. And I brought this up with Mark as well, and being not like the boss, I'm assuming he had no flexibility in being able to do anything. So he claimed wouldn't be able to do anything either. So I'm like, all right, that sucks. See ya. And then this is also where things got weird, is that I told Andy, hey, I'm surrendering. And he looked at me like, what do you mean? And I said, I gotta go. Bye. And then I told Mark the whole story. I told a bunch of people in the room the whole story. My whole table had left by the time I gotten the last message, said I'm leaving now, I'm coming back. So I hadn't told a lot of folks at my table. I told them I might have to leave, kind of mysteriously, but they knew. But the weird thing is Andy didn't actually pull my stack. And this is kind of, I eventually talked to Jeff about 45 minutes later, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the Regid closed and they were playing again. I'm in my car. And this is interesting. Like, it kind of makes sense and it kind of doesn't. So I gave up my stack, right? But I didn't reg again. So it's, and then I found out that, because, like I said, Rudy was at my table, Fausto was at my table. So I knew folks who were still there. So I knew my stack actually hadn't been pulled out of play. So I was confused about that. I was asking Jeff what's up. He's like, well, when people leave, we leave their stack out, just in case they change their mind, they want to come back. I'm like, bro, I'm not coming back. Also, I didn't just leave. I said, Andy, I'm surrendering. Why? Like, I'm whatever. Take my stack out of play. He's like, yeah, well, we just in case you want to come back. I'm like, I've been driving for almost an hour. I'm not coming back, and I wouldn't be coming. Like, there's no wobbling, right? There was no like, hey, Andy, yeah, maybe. I wasn't joking. Like, Andy, I'm gone. Bye. See ya. So why didn't you take my stack out of play, right? And the reason I cared a little bit was, like, I hate it when there's a dead stack on the table. And I didn't feel like that changes the dynamic at the table. It gives certain seats big advantages. It gives my table an advantage over other tables, right? So, like, I didn't want that to be the case, knowing that I was leaving. It wasn't unexpected. I mean, it was unexpected in the moment, but it wasn't unexpected that I wouldn't be there after break. So I wanted my stack up. I wanted a new person put there, right? So apparently, they did not pick up my stack for a while. And I was talking to Jeff, and when he finally was like, oh, you're not coming back, I'm like, Jeff, I am not coming back. Like, the fuck? My wife's having a baby. I'm not coming back. He actually then got a hold of Andy and had them pull my stack, but I think it'd been like a level, so I'd probably been blinded out like 2 orbits by then. And I guess some folks at the table didn't understand what was up or what was going on. And at this point, since it was getting blinded out, I guess there was an argument about it. I was not there to report on that, but I think some folks were just like enjoying the chips blinding out, right? But like, that's why I wanted it pulled in the first place. Like, I am leaving. I'm leaving. I didn't go all in blind for 4 hands before break. I just picked the chips up. I'm leaving. So, that was, sorry for leaving kind of a sticky situation behind other folks at the table, but, worked out for some folks. I think James was there, and he made a really deep run at that myself, so I'm not sure, but, through the grapevine I heard, so we'll see. And, if I don't, I don't, but it would be a nice gesture. So yeah, Frank, I did find it, and thanks everybody with the congratulations and the good wishes. Appreciate it. All the people who responded to my story. Thank you. It's been a crazy few days. So to finish out the story, got home, drove, wife and I drove to the hospital. We had to wait like an hour and a half to be triaged, which is where they check you out and decide if you're staying in the hospital or not. And because my wife wasn't describing the contractions as like searing, blazing pain, they weren't really taking her that seriously, even though they were fairly close. They're like 2 minutes apart at this point. So when the doctor finally came to actually check, we're like, okay, so how dilated are we? Like, how long is it gonna be? And they're like, we're gonna move you. You're about 9.5, or like 9.5 centimeter. Like, we're almost like, it's ready. It's time to go right now. It's like, what are you doing? We basically rolled into the hospital, hour and a half before it was basically go time. So it was pretty wild. Oh. Yeah. It's pretty wild. So good thing I left when I did. Baby was born earlier in the morning, so we were wondering if it was going to be a lucky 8/8 birthday, but it's actually very early in the morning, 8/9 birthday. So baby's doing great. Mother's doing great. Thanks, everyone, for your wishes. But that is why I did not cash the Park West Classic, and that's probably why you won't see me in any big multi-day tournaments for, I would say, I don't know. It's my first one. Let's say a few months, but who knows? Maybe when grandma comes into town, I'll be able to slip away. We'll see. All right. So that was my story. So how did your day one go?
Yeah, congrats, buddy.
Yeah.
Glad to see that Emily and the baby are fine, and that you are a new dad. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Good
it's
job.
super exciting. Really, I'm enjoying it so far. I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, my day one went. I feel like I was just kind of, not doing anything fantastic, chipped up without anything like too crazy happening. And then kind of towards the end, I started running pretty good. And I was able to, at a very, very tough table, the table was like Scott Stewart, so Hale, Peter Cross, Luis Yepes. Insane. It was like two tables left, and that was like one of the tables. It was so crazy, but I was still able to chip up from like 500-600K to a mil to bag. It wasn't number one stack. As mentioned, Mike Eskandari actually
Eskandari, yeah.
Eskandari, yeah, actually, out chipped me by like 100K, which is also like really crazy because a million was really just a lot of chips.
Yeah, it's over double average. I mean, it's like 2.5 average, right? I think.
Yeah. My day two actually started pretty well. I felt like I was getting like decent cards, although I ended up like chopping ace 10 with aces, and then I lost a really big pot ace queen against king queen when this player basically called my check jam on the turn for the rest of his stack with basically it was like king queen on ace queen 10 like 8. So he just had like second pair in a gutter, no flush draw or anything, and he just like snap called it, and he still had like 150K left. It was pretty crazy. Ended up just rivering a jack, taking a pretty big pot off me, but then I was able to just continue to chip up from like I think that put me down to like 800K, but then I was able to get it all the way up to 1.5, and then we got down to 3 tables, and then this humongous hand happened. So I was sitting on like 1.5. John was the chip leader. He was sitting on like 2.5, 2.6. Mac Walker was in this hand as well, and he had like maybe maybe about a mil. And then Jonas, who ended up finishing third, was in the big blind, and he had maybe like 800K, 850K. I raised on the gun with ace king off. It was call from John, call from Mac, and then Jonas 3-bet. And now Jonas is a very capable player, right? I don't think this is only going to be aces, kings, queens, right? But in this specific spot with like basically 2 of the top 5 chip stacks in the hand with you, from the big blind after an on the gun raise, I felt like this was an exceedingly strong hand. I mean, nothing kind of flashed across my mind other than a jam, but it did make me like pause for a second to think a little bit about what are my options here. But I ended up just shipping it in. John and Mac folded, ended up having queens and holding, and it was like a humongous pot. That would have put me basically up to 3 million or maybe like 2.8 into the chip lead. But I ended up losing that, and then Jonas was able to take that all the way through to third place. But basically from there, I just never recovered. I lost a couple of hands here and there. I ended up losing to Mac ace king against ace 6 all in. I was only like a couple of blinds at that point. So I was a little bit disappointed with the 17th place finish. Actually, I feel like I should have finished a lot further. But you got to win those flips deep in a tournament. But overall, unbelievable tournament. Super happy that I actually went deep again. So hopefully. What's probably going to happen is I'm going to end up shipping both of the megas because they don't count for a POI.
Not at all. Nope.
But you know what? I'll take that.
Not just going deep though, but going deep twice on one bullet apiece, right?
Yeah, actually, so that was probably the best part. Is I only went one bullet in the 500, and then one bullet in the classic. So that was really good for the bigger buy-in ones too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should have only went one bullet in the 500, but I dumbly tried to get more chips, and was not worth it because we did not get more chips. Speaking of trying to get more chips, though, on these events, I believe Todd, he had done this before when they had done, I want to say when the Big Four was first done, and they had a huge double bag bonus board. I think it was like, or it was like a $3,500 double bag bonus or something for the Big Four back when they started, maybe even $4,000, probably 3,500. And he did the math on that back then, and that was actually a net minus, or break even, slightly net minus impact on the day 2 prize pool. But he now ran the numbers, and he did his math for this Big Four and this 50-50, and I don't think he did the Park West Classic because he gave us, he kind of shared his findings before then, and this time those double bags, according to his calculations, were a net positive on the day 2. On the day 2 prize pools, which it does make sense. The double bag bonuses were still big, but they were nowhere near as large as they had been. As basically the ones for this Park West Classic are, which is roughly exactly the same as you would get for a satellite of that kind of a caching, right? So it makes sense you scale that down. Now, one thing that the math he was doing doesn't really account for, and for those who are interested, the math he was doing was anytime somebody bags, he then would count the entries they did after that as positives and then take all of the money for people who were playing after they had already bagged and compare it to the money taken out for double bags and etc. Right? But what that doesn't really account for are people like me who I was playing. The double bag was a nice kind of safety net to let me keep playing. Not that I did it or not, but I was going to play extra bullets regardless because I thought I was going to have like 9 big blinds coming back to day 2. So it doesn't take that into account. I mean, counting all of my bullets, I think I fired an extra 4 bullets. Counting them all as benefit from the extra double bag isn't really correct because I would have, if it was just a min cash for day 2, I would have fired probably still at least 3 of them, if not all 4 of them, because I didn't care about that double bag bonus. It would have been really nice, but I don't care. What I cared about was I thought I bagged 9 big blinds or so. When I actually bagged 20 because some flight bagged ridiculously early. But, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. A lot of folks would do that, and it's not quite apples to apples to say that every single re-won, right? But it is still good to see, it's nice to know that they are checking, right? So if there's something really imbalanced or something really bad that goes on, they might make some adjustment. But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. You just reduce that ratio, make the double bag bonus smaller and smaller compared to your buy-in, and you're going to have better results, right? Especially since people will keep playing just to get the better stack.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned this before too, like with that calculation, the calculation is really just trying to judge like from the existing player pool, basically how good or bad is the double bag bonuses, how much are we making people come in and play again and again. But I still feel like that's not really the negative of double bag bonuses. The negative of double bag bonuses is turning off people that won't show up at all. I think that there's a significant number of people that just skip these events and probably a bunch of people that just associate the bicycle casino tournaments with all double bag bonuses, because that's basically what almost all of them are, that they just kind of don't come. So that's the problem, is that you're just leaving out like swaths and swaths of potential poker players that could be coming here. And I think that's my point.
I totally agree. And then the other point that Mr. Patessa always brings up is the other big downside of big double bag bonuses is the invitation for collusion, right? Possibility, which to your point also turns other people off, right? So it's kind of like we've said this before, I'd really love to see them incorporate, Commerce and Bike incorporate a decent freeze out into all their series. And it's easy to look at them, and if you run one and it's like, say they ran one like the Classic and you say, look, see, this one was only 350K prize pool, it sucked. But what you're not counting is kind of what you're saying, well, look, but that meant you had 350 unique entries. If you look at the Classic, you only had 250, so you just generated 100 people who want to play a 1K somehow. That's got to be something. It's got to be good. There has to be something you can do with that, right? You got them in the door, they played, now do something else with them, right? Continue to grow it.
And look, I think the bike is brilliant. Mo and Jeff are brilliant at getting what you can out of the existing players. Like, they're very good at just getting people to buy and buy again. When you look at just the quantums in general, the double bags coming in and direct buying in for 5-6x what the entry is, right? So where you need to, off of 1 bullet, still have to finish, in the top 30 or 40 just to break even, right? Like, you get a ton of people doing that, and you just get, but while that looks great for your top line, it looks good. Like, hey, you keep growing the prize pool year over year over year. You kind of have to look at a little bit of the underlying metrics of how many uniques are you bringing in, how many people stop playing. Are you increasing the risk of ruin for the population? When people, you kind of have to protect this from ourselves, because people just keep firing and firing and firing, trying to get those double bags and trying to get into day 2. And now I can fire 2 huge bullets in the mega, right, across 2 day 2s now, right? So it's brilliant the way that you structure things to get people to come and play and juice these prize pools. But I don't know if it's super healthy.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Now we will keep an eye on it, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. And now it gets even more convoluted with the mini and the mega, now that we're using different entry fees, different effective bag things. But I mean, really, there's no way for it to not sound off or quote unquote bad to a casual player or someone who's not going to fire a flight when you say, look, guy triple bags for the Classic, and he makes effectively 13 grand, which is more than 8th place money. Like that, that doesn't seem right. I'm not sure what place Nader finished in overall, but say guy who finishes I don't know, let's say 45th makes more money than the guy who finished 7th. that's just weird. It's just the optics are strange. Okay.
No, Nader did really well because I remember he was at the final. Well, I think we broke for 3 tables. He was there at my table.
was
I
still
think he
there?
busted probably. I think he busted in the mid-20s, but that's a fantastic finish with that and a double bag, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it's still strange though, right? Like his double bags, like the 16 grand he got for bagging twice. I'm assuming the cash out he got for finishing was probably a quarter of that. It's probably like 4K, 30 something.
Right? He made a really deep run too.
Yeah. And he probably didn't even win 4 grand. Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, last week we mentioned that the Heads Up Championship was back, and that our buddy Matt Salzberg was in it. Some other LA folks were in it, and we just quickly mentioned it throughout, like where we thought it was at. And it must have got Derek thinking. He must have been sitting and watching. He got the wheels churning because, man, he got online and he pissed a lot of people off. If you've watched the show, Derek has some pretty strong feelings on the proper way or things that people should try more of that they aren't to get poker content more mainstream, to get more eyeballs on us, to get more audience growing, right? So Derek took to the streets about the Heads Up Championship. You want to summarize your points?
Yeah, so basically, the NBC Heads Up Championship is streamed on Peacock, which is a subscription service. And then after that, according to their initial announcement, it was just going to be streamed at a later time on Poker Go. I kind of missed that it was Poker Stars too, but I guess it's free on Poker Stars and YouTube channel. But it was basically like a double paywall. And when I look at what happened with the World Series Poker main event, that did get shown on YouTube for free, but that was not intentional. That was because they had an alleged like DOS or something, right? But they were gonna actually gate that behind a paywall too. Now I am very, very supportive of Poker Go. I'm very supportive of the fact that you have to charge people money to put on such high production poker and like these tremendously long streams. But you kind of have to give away a little bit, loss leader type of premium content every once in a while just to get people to come in, right? This would help like bring more spectators to the sport if we were able to do things like, maybe automatically show the World Series Poker main event final table along with something as cool as the NBC Heads Up Championship. I think this is perfect content to give away for free. So I had a bone to pick with that we just keep like, gatekeeping these things behind paywalls. And I feel like we're kind of missing the forest for the trees, right? This isn't just to help poker grow, but it's to help Poker Go get more subscriptions. This is how you get more subscriptions: is you give some of your free stuff, like the best of your stuff away for free to get people to come in and like basically watch. Then the second thing was that it was a little bit confusing, even the way that they marketed it for something that they basically set up like it was going to stream like in the fall or something, or maybe October. I'm not even sure they gave like a specific like time frame. But then it sort of like was promoted or marketed or like kind of leaked that it was already happening and the first round had already happened. So I think people got confused.
They put out official stuff about the bracket draw, right?
Yeah, but then I think like somehow the word got out that also a round had happened, and I did misspeak by saying nobody at Peacock. They do have like 40 million subscribers, but I was just thinking about Peacock relative to like like Netflix and Amazon and other ones where we're talking about 300 million subscribers.
Right. If you're talking relative, I mean it is like 40 million seems like a lot of people, but you're right compared to the champions. Because I pulled the numbers real quick, like. Compared to Netflix, 280 million subscribers. Amazon Prime counts 200 million subscribers. Disney Plus, 153 million subscribers, right? We're still way. Even Paramount Plus is almost double that at 71 million subscribers. Right. And, I didn't get deep enough into looking at it yet, but like it's Peacock. They might be bundled with cable thing, like, right? Like, and as you all know, subscribing to a thing that you got for free or subscribing to something doesn't mean you watch it very much. Right. They are literally losing. They lost $100 million in quarter two. They lost $348 million last year in quarter two, right? So it's like they have numbers, right? But these aren't successful numbers yet in streaming space, right? Not yet.
Right. And this is the kind of thing too. Is it's because very few poker players, I'm sure, subscribe to Peacock specifically for the reason that you said. It's probably just bundled away in a bunch of other stuff. They probably don't even have that many monthly active users. I don't know what their monthly active user count is, but it was like this double whammy of like, oh, I thought it was later, I heard it was now. I don't have Peacock and I don't care to go get Peacock. So what's going on, right? Like that's basically like what the all in I think happened. Yeah, I think Jeff Platt and Brent Hanks specifically had like bones to pick with
Oh
me.
yeah.
Matt Berkey just generally kind of disagrees with the sentiment that
Yep.
poker's still in any sort of growth phase.
Yep. So
But
taking a
anyways,
look
I
right
just
here, you got Berkey on your case. You got Sean Deeb supporting the other side here. We got,
yeah.
let's see here. Well, you got some of the LA folks on your side, but yeah. And then you had some particular response from those guys because as we all know, those guys are really involved in the productions and they're really passionate, which is great. If we have any hope, it's for guys like that to be involved. But they did have some corporate lines to throw back at you, right?
They did.
Yeah.
I understand. Like when anytime I was working with any tech company, even if I just was unhappy and like disagreed with a bunch of stuff they're doing, I would never just like say anything publicly, and I would typically just like defend it here and there if I had to like say something publicly, just because it's the place where I work, right? So I get it. I get it. And I think that Jeff and Brent are both like fantastic broadcasters. I think they're reasonable people. They just seem to. I actually feel like, maybe it was a little bit of towing the corporate line, but I think it was more just being defensive. I think they're just generally defensive of the people that they work with, right?
Sure,
Like the
sure.
marketing team and whoever else, right? They're just sort of defensive. Like, why are you like shitting on all these people? They tried their best. I'm like, you know what? Like, it's all just as a magnet to
For
attract
sure.
more spectators to our sport.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And we're East Coasters, right? We're East Coasters living in California. We're engineers, some so to speak, we're technically minded, right? When we see something, it doesn't matter how successful it is. If we see something that we think is easily correctable or is somewhat obvious or should be tried, we're just gonna mention it. We're gonna talk about like what we like. We're gonna say why. You're gonna give your reasons why, right? And what I've found being out here, when I first moved out here, I was involved in a lot of acting classes, trying to get a lot of creative, in a lot of creative pursuits. And you can't say that to most people. Like a lot of the people who are ingrained in this kind of entertainment industry, they're so used to needing to be on people's good side to get the referral for the next job that it's just like reflexive to not do that. So,
Oh,
and then the
I did
people
not know
who,
that.
yeah, and so if you live in that space and you don't realize what's happening, then you're so used to never getting constructive criticism that every piece of constructive criticism is shitting on your project, right? But look,
That's good to know.
the people who I thought were actually going to do something useful and not just be luckily a part of something useful were the ones who understood that constructive criticism is, you don't have to accept it. And by accepting, you don't have to act on it. But if you don't listen to it and you don't consider it and think about it, you have no hope of actually getting better, right? So the people who respond just knee jerk, and I don't think these guys are. Jeff's definitely not, and Hank's are. They are definitely towing. They're really good at towing that line, right? But in my experience, most people have a knee jerk. Like if you say anything not 100% positive about something, you're shitting on all these people's hard work. It's like, look,
Yeah.
we understand there's a lot of hard work, and we applaud it. We think it's great. We are not saying. No one is saying that we don't think it's awesome that this is happening and it's better. We're just saying if you do it again, or in our opinion, like maybe these are ways it could have been better. And now your thing was worded a little stronger than that. I think that is why you got a lot of feedback. But it's the internet. It's hard to put both sides down at the same time. But
Yeah, I'm always taken aback by people who are like that defensive about it. Because right in technology, like we literally have things called retrospectives where we
Right.
force everyone to go in a room and complain to each other about what we did wrong.
Exactly.
And we do it every single time you launch something, and you just then you take that apart and see what you can do better next
Yeah,
time.
yep.
Like we force that. Like we force those conversations.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. After every milestone hit, after every accomplishment, for sure. Because like to be honest, like look, no, like Jeff, point by point, went back on your things, and a lot of them are fair. A lot of it is totally fair. Now, I think that this is kind of I think some of the confusion for this first thing when you said streams and like not streams. I think part of that is trying to mix layman's, like trying to talk about watchable content to folks who are the target audience you're kind of looking for, right? Like if you're trying to talk about poker content to someone like my parents or someone who's like not as tech savvy, then if you're going to put it on Peacock, you say streaming, right? Like when you say a new show's coming on Netflix, you say streaming on Netflix, right? When poker players hear streaming, when poker players hear this poker tournament will be streamed on, we think live stream. We
It's
think
like a
5
long
hours
stream.
of nonstop
Yeah.
play, right?
Right.
So what it sounds like
Right.
is that's not happening. Now, I thought you said you watched the first round. You just heard the results of the first round. You didn't watch it?
No, I couldn't have watched it.
Yeah. Okay. Because when you said you knew what happened the first round, I thought you said you watched it. So that I was like, wait. But if you watched it, and he says it's a stream, must mean it was a stream. But
Oh no. Wait, what did I say?
You said you knew the results of the first round. Remember, like you remember.
Oh no, I just said that I knew that, or people actually heard that the first round had happened.
Okay,
That's
okay,
it.
I got it. So I think that's part of the marketing when you tell the poker players. You can't say, "Hey, this poker tournament is streaming on X," and then use the same line on non-poker players, because to a poker player, this poker tournament is streaming means you're getting every hand nonstop, uncut, right?
That's a good point. That could have also been
So
confusing to
that's
people because
very
they heard
confusing.
stream,
Uh huh.
they heard that it would happen already, so they're like, oh, it streamed already.
Yep.
But that's not what they meant, right?
Yeah, so like that part's just a misunderstanding. So the first you heard stream, you thought poker player stream. He's saying we're making episodes, which is good, like for a platform, and that's like they're doing absolutely the right thing, right? To
Right.
better audience, you have to cut it. Nobody has Peacock. Peacock has 40 million subscribers. I mean, look, I wanted to. We were gonna have this conversation where I'm taking their side and trying to argue with you, but like, that's bullshit. I mean, saying that number is the same thing as saying it's the same thing as going out there and saying like, oh, I don't like the job numbers. Those are incorrect. Look, they're reducing my job numbers, but they reduced his job numbers, and they did. It was correct when he did it, but not me. That's not. It's correct. Here's numbers. I'm gonna throw numbers at you. They mean nothing. Look, you have to dive into the numbers. A lot of the subscriptions aren't real. A lot of the subscriptions aren't people who watch poker. A lot of the subscriptions, when you say no one has Peacock, everyone knows you didn't mean nobody has Peacock. You meant as far as the streaming services go. I'm sure. In fact, I'm gonna look it up right now. Like all of the free ones, probably. Let's see, like Pluto TV. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see, Pluto TV. Let's see, Pluto TV watchers, right? That has 80 million monthly actives. And this is the other thing. I was Googling it before the show. I was trying to find active. I was trying to find active. I was trying to find monthly. You can't find it. You know why? Because they're hemorrhaging money so fast. They don't say those numbers. If they don't, if it's a bad number, you don't say it in your earnings report. You don't release it. Right?
Monthly active user is what matters. Subscriber doesn't actually matter. And by the way, 80 million monthly active users means they have probably 2 or 3x that in terms of subscribers. They have like way more.
Right, exactly. So that's not like everyone knew you didn't mean no. We meant like, look, Peacock
and
is
and I actually didn't want to follow up further on this because I didn't. Not only did I not want to just sit there arguing with like Jeff and Brent, but like I also don't want to like shit on Peak and NBC anymore because we kind of need them. You know what I mean? So basically, like they seem to be one of the major broadcasters that's finally willing to come and like show poker at least if it's not nationally, at least on their streaming service show.
And that's partially it's part of because of like our status, right? Like poker as content just isn't that high in demand. It's not that high status, right? So it's up to people like these shows to try and raise it up, which is great. Which is why we applaud this. We applaud it. And I don't want to just sit here and shit on Peacock either. Like it's a lot of work. A lot of people obviously work there. It's hard to do. I'm just saying, look, be honest. They are near the bottom, especially of paid subscriber services, right? That's all there is. And then as far as the rest goes, like, you're talking about trying to keep it secret or not secret. It is a tough thing it is kind of a tough thing to go and balance, because in my mind, like I said last time, if I was going to take issue with any of this, it's just simply that I'm laughing at the word championship in the title, because it is an invitational event that didn't have any qualifiers, that has no, like, the criteria for choice wasn't announced. Like, it's not like it's the championship, and even though it's invite, we're only taking people who have won tournaments this year, we're only taking people who have X number of, there's no criteria that says you're good. It's like, it's the championship, we're going to pick anybody we want to come play, like 3Coin, right? Nothing against him, but like, what's the resume for poker championship, right? So like, and obviously that's just a tongue-in-cheek complaint, right? That doesn't, you can call it whatever you want. I just think it's funny when people do that. But yeah, I think anyone who watches the show will know your consistent gripe and your consistent thing is you think our content needs to be more bite-sized and free so that everyone can get their hands on it, so that it can go viral, so that people who don't play poker can see it, right? So this is behind several paywalls, which is kind of the
double paywall. It's like the embargo ends on the first paywall, and then it's beyond a second paywall. But then I was mistaken, because PokerStars then actually responded to my tweet and said that they were going to show it on YouTube for free whenever that happens. But maybe that's a second PokerGo embargo. I have no idea when it's going to get shown, but yeah.
Gotcha. So that is, I mean, we can argue about that, or we can talk about that as well, because like, I think we've mentioned, or we probably have talked about this before, free streaming poker content is very rarely going to break out of the poker kind of cycles, but it can because it's free and it's available, right? Like those viral hands and whatever.
Yep.
But you can't get produced content unless somebody's paying,
Yeah.
So it's very
I mentioned this before too. Like, just look at other industries, successful ones. They don't have to be poker related. And see what they're doing successfully that we can sort of borrow from, right? Like sports, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA. I don't have time. I used to be a huge sports nut. I'm still a huge sports nut, but I won't sit through like a 2 hour or 3 hour game anymore. I won't just sit there on the couch on a Sunday eating chips and watching poker, like football for like, 10 hours or something like that anymore, right? But I do go to the YouTube channels after a game that I'm interested in, and they have basically like the replay where they just kind of string together a whole bunch of interesting plays and like maybe a 15-minute clip, and I watch that and I love it, right? Um, like we can just borrow stuff like that. Like go ahead and stream for 5 or 6 hours and that evening, just cut it up, right? And put it out there on YouTube channel so people can go watch it and then just try to get spectators to go watch it, right? It's just stuff like that. Just experiment with it. Yeah, anyways. I know everyone's doing their best, right? Like you said, it's just constructive criticism, but I feel like we could be doing a lot more.
And just to be clear, he doesn't mean Derek and I by we. He means the poker community. I have no energy or
Yep.
interest in doing it. Just don't. He's not saying we can do better. All right, I'm not saying that. Just want to be clear. Just want to be clear. I'm not trying to say I'm going to do a
We
better job than those guys.
we
I'm not.
we
Yeah.
we as a community, well, I'm just saying we as a community can do better, but then I think the people that are kind of running these streams, I think they're doing their best. They obviously have a tough job. Poker players are a very cheap bunch of people.
Yeah.
We are a very niche community,
Mhm.
right? And they're, playing with niche content, but like it's kind of also their responsibility to help us get out there.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that game of gold too. Someone
Yeah.
needs to find a way to
Game of
monetize
Gold
that and
is
make that happen.
perfect poker content.
It was
Perfect
so
poker
good.
content.
Yeah.
Compelling stories, interesting people, fun games, right? And just like kind of, and it kind of, it's almost like I feel like our media, when we started having like streamers just doing things like, like content creators, um, it was like watching poker, like a poker show inside a home with like a streamer with like friends, right? Because you had like people sitting there watching the tables going on in the back room and you're sitting with them like listening to their thoughts. I thought that was like it was amazing. I don't even think that like all of that was like intentional in terms of the way that ended up playing out, but it hit like every single right button for content, right? So I feel like we need a lot more of that.
Gotcha. I personally haven't really found any kind of streamer in any space that I'm like interested or excited about, really. At least not the ones that just stream for forever. Even poker
Yeah.
streamers, like very rarely might be interested for more than a half an hour. But you know that
Yeah,
yeah.
but even for personal preferences, we all know that those things are extremely popular with the volume of like subscribers and watchers that they get. So, it's definitely catching on with some people. But that's what I mean. Just like think about like the behavioral psychology behind why people sit there and watch streamers. Why do they watch chess? Why do they watch Game of Gold? Right? What makes those things interesting? Let's just try to replicate that and borrow from
Right.
that.
Yep. And Game of Gold was unique. It really was the only piece of poker content that I think tried and was even the slightest bit successful in trying to make more interpersonal, more personality type stuff,
Yeah,
more of the focus in the last while.
yeah,
Places like Hustler they try to make personality important, but they do it by bringing these, I want to say a lot of times, artificial personalities to the felt, and then there's no personality in the playing in the felt. No, nothing shown, right? Because it's just the game. Game of Gold, you got the outside, you got the interactions with them, you got them talking about other stuff, you got them relying on each other as a team and rooting for each other, right? I don't think
yeah.
bringing in someone in a costume who has some wild backstory and then sitting them down in this weird hairdo and then playing straightforward poker, that's not really like, where's the personality?
That's true.
They're just a dude sitting there in a weird outfit, and I don't care about the backstory because I wasn't following this person already. I don't know what all that's about. Like, who cares, right? They have to do something. They have to have Garrett and Robbie with real drama and real impact at the table, right? Which is kind of what Pads talked about. Nothing really happened, but just that 40-second clip of him and Derek Gregory seeming like two people where everyone could relate. These guys have beef. I see tensions mounting. I see someone getting upset. Ooh, this is interesting, right? Don't even know what poker is, but I know that guy's pissed at that guy. Oh, what's going to happen, right? That's what we need more of. We need more of that somehow.
Yeah, I mean, those things definitely get eyeballs. Obviously, people love controversy, but also just when you think about how popular chess got, like people to go in there and play chess crazy, they just play. I mean, chess is a solved game. They're just supposed to sit there and make the right moves, and they're just doing it pretty silently. But Queen's Gambit brought chess like majorly into the mainstream.
Right.
So I don't think we need poker players to sit there and gamble it up like on all the crazy high stakes
Yeah.
like cash game streams.
And
If they just play good poker, but just have good background, you kind of root for them,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe root against them for whatever reason. Good enough.
And Queen's Gambit, I mean, the actual chess was super accurate for a piece of media, and it was really high level, but it was a very small percentage, right? They didn't sit there and play chess for 40 minutes of an episode. It was very small, right? It's not a big deal.
Right.
All right. Okay.
So
you got something else?
Yeah. Call out the chat to Scala. Thank you for I think a lot of my tweets, probably the reason why a bunch of them take off is because I just kind of say whatever's on my mind for good or for bad, and whatever's going to happen, it just sort of happens. So yeah, I did want to just correct some of the thinking around like how bad financially it is for poker players and recreational players. Everyone has specific goals, right? And if you're not taking those goals in mind, then you kind of don't really know what you're talking about. Also, MSW, I think the York, the Game of Gold, definitely had some sort of consultation from the reality TV people for sure.
Yeah.
And also people were talking about this. I actually just bookmarked this tweet about this. I didn't actually go and watch it yet, but apparently somebody got dealt 3 cards and had their hand killed at a final table or something. I haven't actually gone and watched it yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out after the episode.
Yeah, I saw a tweet where someone was throwing that out as a quote-unquote hypothetical to see Savage's opinion on it. Yeah, to Jeremy's point, they filmed Game of Gold in Korea, and the weird thing is they had already done, I don't know if they're like test pilot versions, but they had already done almost the same show in Korea with Koreans, which is interesting. I don't know if production value is cheaper, but I do agree with MSW that I'm sure the price of it, they're doing some analysis, and they weren't able to pay off. But yeah, what I'm saying is that kind of content I think has a better shot of taking off. We just have to figure it out. Mark Weinstein.
Somebody's Mark. Hey,
cool.
What's up, Mark?
Yeah.
And I know that Mark actually works in TV too. So yeah, we should pick your brain a little bit about all this stuff.
Yeah, actually, with Derek loving this kind of topic, we should have you on sometime. But no, I totally agree with you. Definitely was just, I'm sure someone did the numbers and wasn't working, but they just need to tweak it a little. And not they just need, but if they could tweak it a little and get the audience, I think it's possible. Not easy, but I feel like it has a way better shot than everything else that's being produced. All right. Well, let's thanks, Mark. Yep, thank you very much. So in that vein, let's get this episode wrapped up here. Last thing before we head to the roundup, and somewhat related, is the bike is currently having the Mini Mega Millions going on. So Mini Mega Millions is already in progress. I believe they've been doing flights since Sunday night or just Monday. So we have quite a few days already here. We have an updated return list as of August 12th. And let's see. Oh, look at this. So we have David O'Day as the current chip leader. Mark Ayana after him. Samuel Selam and Van Thuy Win. James Saleo, way to go. Also having a nice big stack. And 2 nice big stacks for a double bag already. And Mr. Mike Scandiari, man. He knows the secret. He is died in the wool blaster. He knows everyone. He always seems to be getting these big stacks in his bike day ones.
He knows. So. He's an LAN boss for sure.
Yep. And I do believe he may be the number 1 casher by number of cashes at the bike. If not the bike, it's Commerce. One of these local venues, he is the number 1 casher. So that
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, right. All right. So those are still going on all week. We have day 2 happening on, I believe, Sunday and Monday, and you know how the Mini Mega Millions goes. We will now dive into that. All right, so let's just stick with the Legends of Poker. As I said, the Mini Mega has been going on since, their first flight was on Sunday. They will be continuing with day 1 flights all week until Sunday, which is also the first day 2. So as you know, they'll run that day 2 with day 1 flights happening at the same time. Also this week are just satellites for the day 2 direct buy-in happening the entire week. So for those day 1s, if you are not as familiar, they have 3 flights a day. There's an 11 a.m. and a 4 p.m. flight. Those are 20% advance. It's a $400 buy-in with 40K in chips. And then there's a flight at 2 p.m. where 10% advance, and you start with 20K chips, and you have $200 for the buy-in. Let's see, they're going to run flip and goes on Sunday and Monday to try and get that seat as well. Those are always fun if you're just sitting around and you want to try and gamble it up for a seat. And then on Monday, they'll be running another super stack, 50K super stack on Monday to go along with that day too. All right, so that is what will be happening at the bike. And then following those events, they will be jumping right into another quantum. I didn't even see this on the schedule. There's like a small quantum here jammed in between a 300K quantum.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's like a little tiny one just got stuck in there. Yeah,
just a small one with a couple of day ones and
it's got a day two on. It's got day two on a Saturday. It's very weird.
Interesting. Day two on a Saturday, and if I hadn't just had a baby, I'd be mildly interested in just hopping in for a Saturday 1400, because there's a chance it's probably going to be just the final table on day two, being it small. So interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of a neat little thing. I wish it wasn't a quantum. They should have just made it. They could just put the classic there. I don't know. Anyways, it's neat. And then that Sunday they'll have a 75K. So, but this week all about the mini Mega Millions over at the bike. Now, other exciting news: the Commerce Hold'em series, as always happens at this time of year, is going to be happening. It's officially announced. It will be starting on Labor Day, September 1st. There will be 40 events. It will go until 29th. There will be a 500K guaranteed main event with a live streamed final table. To me, that sounds like it's going to be a 1K. So probably, knowing Commerce, it'll probably be a $1,200 entry with multiple starting flights, and it will be streamed at, I'm guessing, Bally Live for the final table. So that one is awesome. We'll see if my mother-in-law's in town. I might be able to play one day one. Let's see. I think she might be coming around then. We'll have to take a look. So
very nice.
Fingers crossed I can get back in them streets around then slip out for at least one flight. So there's no other announcements on it, though. Just the dates and just that the main event will be a 500K guarantee. Now, the Commerce Hold'em series does tend to be a smaller series. So this used to be, I believe this used to be when DJ would run kind of the goofier events. He would run, he tried to run like a No River event. I don't think he was able to do that. Tried to run a run twice. Yeah. This is when he debuted, I think this is when he debuted is those mega bounties or the super bounties. And this is also when he tried to run, what else? He used to run the goofy ones during this event. I don't know if that's going to stay. I don't know if Kevin's going to do that, if it's going to be more traditional, but we will find out soon. Aside from that, Commerce will be doing the regular dailies. The Saturdays have been killing it, and I believe with the Mega Millions going on this week, actually the next few weeks still being kind of, the more expensive and more exotic quantum multi-flight things, there's a good chance those dailies on the weekends at the Commerce are still going to be great. So get out there. If you ever see me playing, and I don't think I'll be able to play these for a long time, because when you win them, you're still there for 12 hours, but these are great value.
Right.
Moving over to the Hollywood Park, their August schedule. So this weekend over at Hollywood Park, they just have their regular events, but they are there all weekend, unlike last weekend, which was all football. So Friday, they have the 8K guarantee TGIF with $50 bounty. Saturday and Sunday, they have their 10K bankroll builders with the Sunday night lights 5K guarantee at 7:30 p.m. That is night at 7:30 p.m. And then Lucky Lady and the Gardens still have their daily schedule as scheduled. All right. So that will do it for what's going on around town. Now, I know you're going to be out there at the bike. When are you going to be firing, Derek?
Probably Thursday. Thursday have been the one and done with a decent stack pattern so far. So hopefully we can pull it off again this Thursday.
All right. Sounds good. You will not be seeing me there this weekend, but as you pointed out, this one doesn't count for our Player of the Year. With your another deep run you just had, be interesting to see how we're doing point-wise, because I only had the one deep run. But as we all know, the higher to the top you get, the higher the top you get, the way more points you end up with. So be interested to see that.
I'm pretty sure you're ahead, but I'm pretty sure I should also be top 7 or 6 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think I'm going to be top 7 or 6. There've been enough events, although most of them are chops. That will be another interesting thing to see how the chops play. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to find some time to just tweak the formula and get that ready for the results to come out. So, all right, guys. Well, appreciate it. I will not be seeing you, but Derek will be seeing you. This man still fires as much as he can, and I hope to get back out in them streets as soon as I can. In the meantime, I'll try and keep it sharp, play a little online until they take that away too. A lot of folks got emails and texts from Club WPT Gold saying that California is looking to pass legislation to kill the sweepstakes stuff. So if they do that, that would also kill global, which is a lot of the way we play here in California. It's like those guys and like ACR. So hope they don't do that. I mean, it's completely. I find it completely. What's the word? Freaking, two-faced. I can't remember the word because I'm tired. I haven't slept a lot, but I find it completely selfish and two-faced and dumb because it's clearly not because of gambling.
Hypocritical?
Poker. Hypocritical, yes. It's completely hypocritical, and also just obviously the result of lobbyists. I'm sure it has everything to do with the Native American lobbies because it has nothing to do with skill game or not, because cards are a skill game. It has to do with getting the licensing and not allowing anybody to gamble online and take away from, the tribal casinos would be my guess, because sweepstakes sites typically have other kinds of gambling as well. So if they really cared, you just let poker be legal here, but that's not the point.
Right.
All right.
Just leave us alone.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it. Appreciate it. Hey guys, thanks for all the good wishes. It was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. I hope you all have as great a weekend, and I hope you all don't bust Derek too many times in a row. I have to hear about it in the group chat. All right, guys?
Yeah, just don't bad beat me.
Yeah.
But I'll see you at the tables, everyone.
Adios.